The theory that the COVID pandemic was caused by a leak from a Chinese government-controlled lab was largely dismissed by mainstream scientists at the start of the pandemic. Famously and influentially, this letter to The Lancet in February of 2020, signed by 24 scientists.
We stand together to strongly condemn conspiracy theories suggesting that COVID-19 does not have a natural origin.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump argued the opposite.
Have you seen anything at this point that gives you a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the origin of this virus?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Many in America and beyond took their cue on what to believe based on what they thought of Donald Trump.
We know that it's been debunked that this virus was man-made or modified or anything like that, but
skip forward 3 years and Donald Trump has left the White House, and there is less certainty in the natural origins theory. This week, the FBI director, for the first time publicly, gave the agency's official position.
The FBI has for quite some time now assessed that the origins of the pandemic are most likely a potential lab incident in Wuhan.
This comes on top of leaked extracts of a report by the US Department of Energy that concluded that the lab leak was the most likely hypothesis, although it did apparently flag this as a low-confidence conclusion. Although the details of the report haven't been released, there are several factors that seem to point away from a naturally occurring virus. The structure of the virus is different in some key details from known viruses of a similar type. The differences can only be explained, according to some scientists, by so-called gain-of-function research. That is, intentionally manipulating a virus to make it more contagious with the hope of learning more of how to prevent pandemics. Here's a clip of Peter Daszak, president of the Eco-Health Alliance, speaking at a conference in 2016.
We found other coronaviruses in bats, a whole host of them. Some of them looked very similar to SARS. So we sequenced the spike protein, the protein that attaches to cells. Then I didn't do this work, but my colleagues in China did the work. You create pseudoparticles, you insert the spike proteins from those viruses, see if they bind to human cells. And each step of this, you move closer and closer to this virus could really become pathogenic in people.
The next problem with the natural origin theory is that 3 years on, we still haven't found a similar enough virus in animals that would account for the spread to humans. With previous natural pandemics like SARS and MERS, intermediate animal hosts, bats and camels, were quickly discovered. One problem that governments are having to consider: suppose they do find categorical proof that a Chinese lab was responsible, and by implication that the Chinese government has deceived the world. What then, given the untold damage that this virus has caused? Relations between China and the West are bad and deteriorating. For some, it's politically and diplomatically sensible not to dig too deep. For others, the truth must come out, whatever the cost.